I'm in Cleveland, Ohio. It's hot out today, but at least the sun is out and it's not cloudy and super, super muggy, but it's hot. School hasn't started yet for my son. That happens next week, so I'm still kind of trying to navigate work and keeping him somewhat occupied without being in front of a screen all day. I am the CEO and founder of RG Adoption Consulting. We help hopeful adoptive families navigate their way through the infant adoption process. We do not work with expectant mothers or birth mothers at all, just the hopeful adoptive side. So we have a client community, a client Facebook group just for our clients, both past and present. And oftentimes we'll bring in guest speakers or do Facebook Lives and do lots of education. And last night, I had another adoptee earlier in the month. I think I did an IG Live with Mary. Did anybody catch that? And last night I had a conversation with Yael Adler. She is from New Jersey and she just wrote a book called From Gypsy to Jersey. Love that title. And she's an adoptee. You know, my son is 10 and we are in an open adoption. And I've had my business for 8 years. And I still continue to learn and have aha moments. Because as our children, well, because a lot of reasons, because I keep learning and I learn every day. And the more we can share each other's stories, we can learn from each other. No one person in the triad can speak for everybody in that group. I hope you all know that. So if you're reading things on the internet, don't think one person represents everybody, please. But it was really cool to have her on. She actually read an excerpt from her book that was really, really cool. Yael brought up a phrase that we were talking about, maybe how her parents or parents in general could say things a little bit differently to show support of their children. Anyway, she used this phrase that I love and I hope I remember because I definitely want to use it. And it's so simple. The phrase is, maybe one day, ... And the context was, maybe she was asked a question about her adoption and she was like, well, I don't really know. Or, maybe she asked her parents about something around her adoption. Her parents said, well, I don't really know, or made an assumption. And instead they could have said, you know what, maybe one day we could explore this together and we could both find out a little bit more information. And I love that. Maybe one day, ... How can we show our children through action and also through words that we support them wherever they are in their adoption journey? And guess what? It's going to be uncomfortable and you're going to squirm. And that's adoption, because everybody does on every side of this triad. It's not easy breezy. If you want that, please don't adopt if you think it's all going to be smooth sailing. It's not. If it is, you could probably be doing a little bit better, right? Because we have to have hard conversations. Another phrase that she brought up that I absolutely loved, and I'm curious who here watches This Is Us. Who watches This Is Us? Anybody? They do a really, really great job. So the second phrase reminded me of This Is Us, and it was, I didn't want you to feel. I didn't want you to feel targeted. I didn't want you to feel bad. I didn't want you to feel different. I didn't want you to feel alone. From the adoptee side, I didn't want to hurt your feelings. I didn't want you to feel bad, right? So we're both saying it on both sides of the coin. And yet, Rebecca said that to Randall, right? I didn't want you to feel ... But what did Rebecca say later? She said, tell me about your birth mother. I want to know. And that really showed him support. But everybody's so afraid of hurting each other's feelings or protecting them in some way. And yet it's not up to us to decide that for our children, right? It's not our job to protect them through withholding their identity, who they are, a part of their story, and deciding that that's too much for them. I think there's a time developmentally. So all these little phrases. So I love those two phrases. Maybe one day, and I didn't want you to feel ... using one, taking the other away. So I'm just loving all these conversations we're having and just reminding, like going back and looking at some of our past conversations with people who were adopted. So things are still slow and quiet, and yet we still continue to have baby born situations, what's called stork drops, all the time. We had one this week. It's funny, I was just putting together a list of agencies for a family that had started with us not too long ago, a couple. And I just got finished putting it together for them to go sign up with agencies, and they got a call about a baby born situation, and papers should be signed tomorrow. So sending prayers out to them and good vibes. We haven't had a single mom be picked in a very long time, which is why we had to put a stop to working with bringing on new single moms this year. I really hope that that's going to open back up next year. I'm a single mom myself who adopted. I love working with single women, and yet it's, we usually have about 4 single women match at any given time, and we haven't had one in a very long time. So we don't want to just take people on as our clients if we don't feel like we want to make sure that you'll have some success. We can't make sure of anything, but we want to feel really good about you having some success and being able to help you. So that's still on hold. The good news is our wait list has gone away. So for the first time all year, we are not on a wait list. So we have openings. The best families for us is if you're very open. We are currently looking for African American, Black families, interracial families. They tend to adopt pretty easily because there's not a ton of people, and more expectant mothers are specifically asking for families who will look like their children. Families who are really open in their criteria, race and substance exposure. Those are the people that have the easiest time adopting, and yet there's nothing easy about adopting right now. So that's a little bit about what's going on and what we're seeing. We continue to be in conversation with more and more agencies across the country to really get a pulse, but people are still really struggling. And, I don't know what's happening. I just got a check in the mail from the government for my son, and that's continuing to happen. And that seems to be a direct correlation of the number of adoptions having really decreased. What I do want to mention is November is National Adoption Awareness Month. I hate the fact that I'm bringing up the word November right now, but I am, because every year during National Adoption Awareness Month, we highlight all the voices of adoption in sharing people's stories, however it is that you want to share your story, whether it be through written word in the form of a blog, it could be a video, it could be a dance or a song or a piece of art, it could be a quote or a poem or anything that moves you. So right now we are putting the call out to anyone who would like to be part of that month-long month of awareness and month of sharing all the voices of adoption, no matter who you are or how you were touched by adoption. We would love to hear from you and share what you have to say. So if that is you, please reach out to me and let me know how you would like to be a part of that, or just simply email us something at support@rgadoptionconsulting.com. We would love to hear from you and love to share your words and your story, whatever that looks like, with our community. So thank you all so much for hopping on today, and I'll see you next Friday. Bye. Have a great weekend.